Good morning, everybody. We're going to be doing a Elemental Shaman PvP build, going over all the talents and stat priority, what we can be expecting this season, and as well as the rotation. I'm not going to be explaining every single talent that I select. I will be going over basically the choice, why I chose which ones over the others, and I'll be explaining how the build works overall. But as far as sustainability, we have Astral Shift, Earth Shield, going down into increasing your elemental shields have on yourself active at a time. So Lightning Shield, Earth Shield at the same time, and Healing Surge is going to be increased by 30 more percent. So as far as heals go, we should be pretty good to sustain ourselves, as well as Healing Stream Totem. It's only a 30-second cooldown, so that's awesome. Over here, we're looking at a Astral Shift buff essentially, so you're either choosing damage reduction by 20% more or decrease the cooldown by 30 seconds. Now me personally, I like the 20% additional damage because the way I play, I like to go into Ghost Wolf form, and I'll explain this in a second as well. Get some damage reduction and having that stack with the Astral Shift, because of right now you're pretty tanky and you're going to be dealing with a lot of people on you at once, because you're going to probably be the kill target 9 times out of 10. So over on the side of it, so you have Thunderous Paws or Spirit Wolf. Now you can get this to get out of any kind of snares and get a speed increase. I don't see this being that usable as often over just a gradually increasing damage reduction at any point when you cast Spirit Wolf. So I'm choosing Spirit Wolf over Thunderous Paws. I don't have any issues trying to get away from people or kiting people, and that's why I just don't really need the extra mobility. Getting Gust of Wind, which is pretty much just a leap. Nature's Guardian, which is going to help us protect us before death. Over here is going to be pretty much more defensive cooldowns on this side, right? So we're going to increase our health by 10%. You can use your Earth Elemental as a trinket. I use it from the beginning because everything is percentage based. Right off the jump, I'm going to hit Ghost Wolf form by damage reduction of 20% with this 15% increase, and they're not really going to touch me in the beginning of their burst window, and I don't have to pop as many defensives. We're going to get a damage reduction of 5% while we have Elemental active, so that gives us a better defensive further. And then here we're going to buff our weapon imbuements. I am taking Hex, decreasing the Hex cooldown. I'm taking Thunderburst, Ancestral Guidance, basically to provide passive healing when I'm bursting, as well to my teammates. Spirit Walker's Grace. Now choice down here, you can either choose Graceful Spirit or Spirit Walker's Aegis. Somebody said Aegis and I got stuck saying it. So Spirit Walker's Aegis, Jesus. When you cast your Spirit Walker's Grace, you're going to become immune to silence and interrupt effects for 5 seconds. This is highly important when you have to start casting your lava bursts. You're not going to be interrupted during your burst window. They're going to have to waste a stun to actually stop you from casting completely. Or you can choose reducing the cooldown, increasing the movement speed. I just don't see that there's a comparison in PvP. This is beautiful. I am taking Nature Swiftness, and I will talk about why I'm taking Nature Swiftness over, let's say, going down this path. There is a reason. It helps your burst, essentially. So, like I said, taking Thunderstorm, coming down here, and I am taking Traveling Storms versus Thundershock. Thundershock only knocks them up and it reduces the cooldown by 5 seconds. I'd rather push them away, farther away, and slow them down at the same time. And then I'm also taking Stone Bulwark Totem. If you're not taking this, you're fucking up. This is a very good defensive CD, so you're going to really want that during your burst window, essentially, so you don't have to keep pressing multiple defensives. Alright, moving over to the right side of the tree, we have Earthshock. Right now, Earthshock just seems to be the play. I'll explain further into what our gearing is looking like, but Earthshock is being surrounded by our gear. Earthquake, it doesn't really matter which one you choose. You're not going to use that much in PvP, if at all. Elemental Fury, we're going to get increased critical strike. And then we have Fire Elemental, which is pretty much a one-stop shop burst DPS. All right, so it's going to give us our better flame shock, and it's going to apply any flame shocks to last 100% longer. Down here, we're choosing Surge of Power over Aftershock. There's just a no-brainer. This is so much better for your burst cooldown, especially since for us, we're going to be casting Lava Burst a lot. It's going to reduce the cooldown of that Fire Elemental here. Grabbing Lava Burst, an additional charge. Reduces the cast time of Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning. This doesn't really matter, but we need this tree down here, which is why we're taking that. Coming down here, we're going to pick up Ice Fury, and casting an Ice Fury is going to grant us a Elemental Blast to hit at 60% effectiveness. Ice Fury kind of pops up frequently, so it's just that extra damage. It works really well. Grabbing increased Maelstrom and increasing the damage of Earth Shock. Looking at Elemental Fury, increase our additional 25%. We're going to increase our nature damage by 8%. This is going to help us whenever we have to use our filler for Lightning Bolt or even our heals for Healing Surge. We're going to increase our Flame Tongue weapon. Casting Lava Burst has a chance to... This one isn't that important. It's more so trying to grab Overload so we can actuate Overload as much as possible. We're going to reduce the Maelstrom cost of Earth Shock. Hit Flame Ascendance. Get the increased buff of 25% while in Ascendance, which is going to also proc off this, which is giving us a 7% chance to hit Ascendance as well when we're outside of it. So you're going to want this. This is going to help you tremendously whenever you pop into here. You're going to get a haste increase. It's just another burst cooldown, and when you actuate Ascendance, it's going to launch a lot of fireballs at whoever has the Flame Shock. Down here, we're going to go Primal Elementist. Flame Shock cooldown is increased to our Fire Elemental, and we're going to get a lesser elemental whenever that one despawns. Over here, we're going to increase our damage of our Earth Shock for every 1.5% for when our Flame Shock deals damage. So it's just a buff to our Earth Shock. And we're taking Prim Wave. We're going to get a haste buff out of it through this, Splintered Elements. And then we're going to do Liquid Magma Totem, which is an AoE Flame Shock. There's a couple ways you can kind of do this build, in my opinion. If you didn't want Liquid Magma Totem, for example, like arenas, you don't really have to use this, in my opinion, that frequently. I do find myself using it, but not for damage, just to spread a fire shock if I don't have it, especially in 3s. But personally, if you're like in 2s, you could go take this off, take this Magma Chamber off, go with Equilibrium here, so that way you can get a 10% damage buff, and then hit this for an overload possibility for your Earth Shock. I have found that this build overall is just a solid, offensively bursty build and very defensive playstyle. As well, we're going into Farseer. I do have a lightning build. I'll do another video on the lightning build, but right now the lava fire build is just way stronger right now. But it does have its place, like as far as like PvE, for example. But for Farseer, we're hitting all these talents. So your ancestor spells are going to be 20% more powerful, or you can go and have them cast another ancestor for 20% chance when they expire for 6 seconds. And then we have Lava Burst has an 8% chance to call an ancestor to your side for 6 seconds, or an ancestor lasts an additional 4 seconds. So the reason why I went with here is because I don't want to be capped on the limit, or I don't want to be limited on the amount of ancestors I can spawn. If I just keep casting Lava Burst, I have a chance to get another ancestor. So if you roll with this, the ancestors last an additional 4 seconds. You only have 2 ways in this build to run ancestors, and that's going to be your Prim Wave, which is a 30-second cooldown, and then your Ancestral Swiftness. So like I said, the reason why I'm taking Nature Swiftness down here is because our last talent is, if you know Nature Swiftness, it is replaced by Ancestral Swiftness and causes an Ancestral Swiftness to call an ancestor to your side for 6 seconds. So we're going to get 2 ancestors right off the bat on our burst, which is why I went with Nature Swiftness, so I can get another ancestor. I am trying to spawn as many of these guys as possible whenever possible. And then I'm going to get more damage out of their spells, so I'd rather get the 20% more. Now you can have them chance to expire for 6 seconds. It's pretty good, but I found while I have the ancestors, I want them, when I have them, to actually hit pretty hard. I am also going with Earth Communion. Earth Shield has an additional 3 charges, which is great defensively and heals me for 25% more. This is a phenomenal defensive. This is okay, but typically everyone's really bursty. If your battles are lasting longer than 30 seconds, then you're going to capitalize on it. But personally, it's not as good as this Earth Shield when you can have it pop whenever you need to. Alright, so that is the build we are looking at. Also, as far as PvP talents, this should be kind of like a given. There's a couple things that you can kind of play with. So we have Grounding Totem here. In a nutshell, it's going to fuck over every goddamn caster or any magic using stun or CC. Totem of Wrath, so whenever we summon our Prim Wave, we're going to get extra critical damage for everything, to include healing and our allies. And then Shamanism, I am using this. You could probably choose Static Field Totem if you're having an issue with other people. But if you choose Static Field Totem, you may need to rearrange the build to get your totemic projection to move it somewhere else. Like I said, I don't have a problem with kiting people or fighting close to people. So I just rather use Shamanism to get that extra haste. This also is going to apply a haste buff to another friendly target. So if they're nearby, they're going to benefit from it. So there's the talents I'm rolling with. So as far as I'll go over gear first. So looking at gear right now, I just got fully PvP gear the last night, I think. I was only missing a couple pieces. But looking at it, so we want to get the most out of our versatility, mastery, haste, then crit. Our crit is already really good, so it's going to be our last one. We're not going to need it. We're going to benefit the most out of haste, so we definitely want to go with haste. And then for PvP, versatility and mastery is pretty much a no-brainer because this versatility is going to increase our damage and healing and decrease the damage we take from players. So it's very important. So whenever you can get any kind of enchants for your rings or offset pieces, definitely go with versatility or mastery. And then if you need to, play around with the numbers and try and get that haste increased. Alright, what I also want to talk about is our gear set for this upcoming season. So right now, if you have the 4-piece set, we're going to get an increase on our 2-set piece for Elemental is going to increase our Elemental Blast and Earth Shock damage by 25%, and Earthquake is damage is increased by 25%. So that's phenomenal. I love that. I love playing around with Earth Shock. I don't really use Earth Blast that much, but we're just going to get a significant boost. I hit a 1.4 mil crit on somebody the other day, which is kind of insane. So it's gonna hit really hard. So it's just gonna, we want to try and buff that the most. That's probably when the overload may be a little bit better to take, but we'll review that when the season hits and we'll test that out. And then our 4th set is going to be Spending Maelstrom grants you 5% increased critical strike chance and 10% increased critical damage dealt. Basically, all in all, if we use Earth Shock, we're gaining a nice ass buff for all of our other spending, or all of our other abilities. So I think it's a solid, it's very simplistic, very easy, nothing hard or nothing's going to mess up our rotation. We just play the game and our set bonus is going to just boost us more. So I love that. All right, so looking at our rotation, what our bursting rotation is going to look like. All right, so we're going to launch our Prim Wave so we can get that haste buff and Ancestor rolled out with the Flame Shock. And then we're going to hit Ancestral Swiftness to get an instant lava burst. Now sometimes in between casting your Prim Wave and your Ancestral Swiftness, you may get a proc of not Earth Blast, but of lava burst. So if you do get that, don't spam Earth or Prim Wave and then lava burst. Hit your Prim Wave and then get your Ancestral Swiftness out, because you want those ancestors to cast out those instant lava bursts with you, and it's going to give you more damage, more burst damage, and that proc that you hit with Ancestral Swiftness will not go away just because you use lava burst. So you will get 2 instant lava bursts right off the bat. And then we're going to hit our Fire Elemental to increase the damage of pretty much everything, and then we're going to go into Ascendance. Now I do have a macro for this Ascendance and with what I'm currently playing with, and it's very simple, nothing crazy. It's literally casting Ascendance, Shamanism, Ancestral Guidance. Alright, and it's going to cast all those at once. And the reason why I cast Ancestral Guidance right off the bat is because typically I am the kill target, or my teammate's going to be benefiting from this anyway. So either way, it's good to pop off, especially when you're burst, when you're the strongest. It's going to keep very good sustain on you. So I'll show you like here. Oh gosh. I can't attack him. Okay. Can I cast this? Yeah. What? Alright, so we're going to attack this target here. We're going to Prim Wave, Ancestral whatever, and now we got that rolling. We got our Ancestors, Lava Burst. And I'm casting Lava Burst again. Fire Elemental, Ascendance. Now we got procs, now we're going to cast. And it's rinse and repeat. I do have a proc of Elemental Fury down there, and I just use Earth Shock whenever it procs. I'm going to hit Ice Fury right after a Lava Burst and just consistently cast Lava Burst. Now, whenever you use your Earth Shock, it's going to be hitting hard, especially if you have Elementals up. And during this window, I got Prim Wave up. I'm going to cast a Lava Burst, hit this, and it's just a lot of instant damage, very fast, very easy Maelstrom generation. And it doesn't ever feel like you're being starved for anything. Now, sometimes you will get to a point, like I did just there, where I did not have a Lava Burst set up. I had a Lightning Bolt, and then I'm going to cast Ice Fury, and then I'm going to cast Earth Shock. So it's very very well maintained, very well balanced as far as our rotation. It's not much really situational, honestly. If you're wondering, okay, when do I cast Earth Shock or when do I cast Frost Shock? Whenever you have Earth Shock, cast it. Your Maelstrom generation, unless you want to prepare for a big burst. A lot of the times, if I'm gearing up for a burst window, like if I'm just casually playing like this, and I'm like, okay, I want to get as much Maelstrom as possible because I want to be able to Earth Shock them 2 or 3 times in a row, right? Then I'm going to just keep casting other abilities. That's where you're going to get starred for Lava Burst a lot of the times. And if you're stacking up Maelstrom, because you're taking those other times to, you know, use your other abilities. So if I wanted to do that, I'm just going to keep casting it whenever I get up to, so I'm at 150, 160, and now we're already capped. So your ancestors will cast off of your Earth Shock. So Fire Burst, Earth Shock, Earth Shock, Earth Shock, and then rinse and repeat. So yeah, that is our rotation, our burst. It's going to be Prim Wave, Ancestral Swiftness, Lava Burst a couple times, get that damage off instantly, Fire Elemental, Earth, and then Ascendance, I mean. So that's pretty much a burst, and then you're just going to launch as many Lava Bursts as possible while your ancestors are there. Your ancestors will copy every single move you do, as far as Lava Burst, Ice Fury, and Earth Shock. If you cast Lightning Bolt, they'll cast a Lightning Bolt, but you're going to be better off casting a Lava Burst just because you're a fire build, alright? And that is the guide. I really appreciate you guys watching this. If this helped you, please comment down below. If you wanted to see something different, or if you have a question about Elemental Shaman, let me know. I will be making a lightning build, so stay tuned for that.